Welcome to Letters from America, a road trip podcast searching for the Swedish footprint in the United States. I'm your host, Martin Van, and today I've parked the Volvo in the middle of Washington, D.C. And with me in the Airstream is Peter Borsos, who is head of communications at Ericsson.
Yes.
The big communication company, in a way.
You can say that, absolutely.
We're going to talk about that. I'm happy that you're here with me. But there are certain things in history that we need to go back, because I'm on the tour searching for the Swedish footprint. And Ericsson, as a company, has a big footprint in this country.
Yes.
You're celebrating in total 150 years, but you've been in America for 120.
Yes.
Can we go back there to start? Who was this Ericsson? LM Ericsson. How did it all start back in Sweden?
Yes, how did it all start? Well, Lars Magnus Ericsson founded the company then 150 years ago, 1st of April this year.
1st of April? Oh,
1st of April.
That's pretty close, yeah.
Yeah, and it was founded on Drottninggatan 15 in Stockholm.
That's right in the middle of...
In a kitchen. The first office was 13 square meters.
Was that his home?
I don't know if it was his home or if it was a close-by apartment or something, but it was 13 square meters. That's where he set up shop.
Yeah.
Same year, Alexander Graham Bell invented the phone and patented it.
Yeah.
But he didn't patent it for Sweden, which became important a couple of years later when Lars Magnus could enhance the phone.
Yeah.
But he started then, and he ran the company into the early 1900s when he left the company. Him and his wife, Hilda, which is a fairly cool story on how Lars Magnus went abroad, especially to Russia back then, but also a lot of other countries.
Because the phone was his thing, the reinventing of the phone.
It didn't start with the phone because the phone was invented the same year, so it was telegraphs and other things.
Yeah.
But fairly soon moved into that. And very fast also Sweden was saturated. So he went abroad. And the company almost got bankrupt during the Russian Revolution 1917.
Yeah.
But then he had already left the company. But Ericsson has been through all the different parts of global history since it's always almost been very global. Today we're in 170 countries, something like that, all over the world. Very few countries where Ericsson is not present.
I gotta just remember that my grandfather on my mother's side, he was a baker, or he had like a coffee shop in a small town in Sweden. And he was one of the first to get a phone.
Yeah.
And I think his number was 003.
That is really cool.
That's
really
a good phone number.
Could he stick to that phone number? Still has it?
No, but that says a lot about the amount of phones you have in there.
Yeah.
So if we continue with the Ericsson, it's something happened with the Kruger crash also with Ericsson.
Yes.
Because it sort of expanded quite quickly, right, in Sweden and Russia and in Europe.
And in Europe and in the US. So we're celebrating 120 years in the US now.
Yeah.
So fairly early on in the 1900s, also US was an important market. But
is it possible to compare the expansion of the phone, or even that's perhaps even bigger than the expansion of the internet, because that was really the first time that we could communicate privately to each other. So that's like a big revolution that we don't think about today, really.
No, I think you're right in that. I think the only difference in all the technological breakthroughs we have since then is the pace of it. If you look at today's AI revolution, it's all going to happen, but just faster, a decade perhaps. Whereas the phone, when that broke through, it took some time to get all these poles in the ground because it was not mobile back then.
Yeah.
You had to build all the copper, and that took perhaps 4 decades.
Yeah.
Internet, when that came, also took some more time. So the only real difference is the pace of change, which I feel is always increasing.
It's almost like the invention of the car with no other comparison. But I didn't, but we invented the car, and it has sort of changed over the years, but it's still a car.
Yeah.
And the phone just connected us. That's a quite interesting thought. But it's still, in a way, we're digital and we're texting and we're talking, but it's still kind of a phone thing. We're doing it to...
It is.
It's kind of, it's interesting.
Question is if it's going to stay that way. If you're actually going to hold on to something. You hold on to a fixed phone, now you're holding on to...
Oh, but that's the future. We're getting to the future.
Sorry. Yeah.
That's the future. We're back at the 1940s, something like that. It's 1930.
Yes, the Krüger crash.
Yeah.
Krüger owned the better part of Ericsson, and there's a lot of history around that crash, and he committed suicide in Paris, I think.
Yeah.
That's when the Wallenberg family could eventually step in and save Ericsson and get Ericsson into the more modern way. And since then, investors and the family Wallenberg has been a very large owner.
So that crash was really also a turning point for the focus of the company.
Perhaps not the focus of the company, but you need stability and you need resources, and especially as Ericsson is a research-heavy company, you need the stability to be able to stay in that business simply. Ericsson was also early 2000s close, did a share issue on when the stock price was 380, which most interesting Swedes in the stock market remember. So there's technological shifts. One of the, I think, greatest things about being a company that is 150 years is that you actually passed through all these different geopolitical, technological shifts that has happened during that time.
Yeah.
It's a lot. It's been close sometimes.
Can we talk about the corruption?
We can absolutely talk about the corruption.
What happened and how did you manage to survive that?
Well, since Ericsson is in many different countries, and it's always been difficult to do business in some countries.
Yeah.
And from time to time, the company sets the wrong foot forward.
You mean the branch of the company or the...
I'm not gonna blame individuals. It's a company that needs to take responsibility for how they do business. We have paid our dues. We paid latest over 10 billion in 10 billion Swedish kronas in fines to DOJ.
Yeah.
And today we have even more robust systems in place to be able to do what we think is important. Communication is a basic human need. And we want to be in all the countries that need that basic human need, which is almost, every country on earth. That's why there's very few countries where we do not operate. But we have left some countries. For instance, we're not in Russia today as part of sanctions.
Yeah.
We've also left some other countries where it's simply too difficult, impossible, or too dangerous for staff to actually be present.
I'm not going to dwell on the corruption thing. I just find it fascinating that something such that would sort of kill anybody in a way, that you, like you said, you paid your dues and managed to get out of it. I find that, in lack of other words, I find it honorable in a way to do that, even though the reason for it wasn't that great.
There's a lot of hard work behind that.
Yeah, I can imagine.
It's a lot of hard work behind that, where a lot of employees feel wrongly accused, of course, because it doesn't mean that 100,000 employees did the wrong thing.
No, of course.
So dealing with that and dealing with the aftermath of that and getting the company into a position and shape where we can start to trust that the system really holds on has been quite an ordeal.
Yeah. Do you still deal with that on the customer side, that people sort of question that or what you're doing?
The world
because it's been a while. So.
Yeah, but I mean, the world is not black or white.
No.
And it's never gonna be black or white. So we're constantly on our toes and try to, do the best out of every situation and have systems in place that really understands where the risks are, so to say. I feel that we are at that point again, but it is difficult to say never again.
Was that the reason for you to change the path of the company? Because I would say that people in my generation, mostly, I would say, know you as the phone company. I've had many of your phones, especially before that screen phone that we have today. But you don't do that anymore. But
We
still,
don't.
I would argue that still people kind of think that you might do that.
You're absolutely right.
You're not doing anything that I can hold on to in a way.
No phones, nothing like that. No consumer products at all.
No GPS or no...
Nothing like that.
What was that? The call that you had with the number?
The mini call.
The mini call.
No, we don't. And Ericsson is a brand name all over the world. I would argue very much because of the phones.
Yeah.
I think it's one of those technological shifts where Apple and the iPhone came and kind of swooped in on that market. Ericsson and Nokia, who's also into phones, are no longer doing phones. Ericsson's main product the last 20, 30 years have been the mobile systems.
Yeah.
And that's where we are, completely world leading and where we operate in every country. So we're still very much connected to the phone. Your phone would not work without our products.
Because that leads into the main reason why I wanted you here. Because I'm doing a road trip. I'm on the field almost every day. And it turns out that everything I do, in a way, to sort of show my stories and the people I meet and the photos I take and the short stories, the podcast, and everything is through you. And it feels like...
And we're happy to have you on our networks. No,
because that's a big footprint that people don't really understand. And it also feels that you're sort of... it's like the Swedish technology is involved in everything, but now not up front with the products, that is, like consumer product, but in the back, controlling. Is there a risk that you sort of control too much, or is there a competition going on between the? I don't know the technical lingo here, but is it servers or transmitters or what are we talking about?
Let's call it mobile systems.
Mobile systems.
There's definitely competition, but very few companies today do what we do. There's actually two Western, it's us and Nokia, and then there's some Chinese. And then you have different parts in these mobile systems. You have the radios, you have the different parts that others also can do. But we hold that together very much. So there's absolutely a very big competition against the Chinese players, for instance, all over the world. Yeah. We face them almost everywhere. And they have a big home market. We don't. We're 10 million people in Sweden. That's why we call the US, India, and Japan our home markets.
Oh, yeah.
But you're right. Connectivity is today so crucial and so important that you don't notice it until you don't have it.
Yeah.
But if your phone is not working, you immediately get very upset.
Yeah, a little bit stressed out also.
A little bit stressed
out.
And
it usually happens also when I'm in the middle of something.
Yes.
Uploading or whatever, and it just dies.
Yeah.
But that's also because I'm focused on it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I won't notice.
No, so we are dealing. I'm not kidding when I'm saying communication is a basic human need. That connectivity we've now live in a world where that is taken for granted. And not the fixed part anymore, but mobile. You want to be able to connect with loved ones. You want to be able to work. You want to be able to be updated on news or whatever it is. Listen to music. Listen to a podcast. Wherever you are. So that connectivity has become extremely important.
I'm all about storytelling, and I think that stories connect us. And if this is the tool to tell stories, then it is the tool to tell stories. What can we see from... You mentioned, I stopped you earlier, you mentioned that we're heading somewhere. Is it really need to make this... On a serious note, we're actually struggling with stress about this. We're actually struggling with too many notifications, too many things to be aware of, too many social media posts, and it's like we're overloaded with information. And I think that you got evidence to prove that as well too. There's research that will prove that. Do we really need to amp it up? Do we need to make, or can we put that effort into something else instead? Because I've heard rumors now about 6G is coming. Is there a 7G coming? How much more speed?
Believe me, 6G is coming.
Is it?
Around 2030.
Is that a statement now? That
6G is definitely coming.
Or am I just late on that thing? Does everybody know this?
Anyone interested in the industry knows 6G will be here around 2030, depending on, and a lot of different countries and customers will claim first.
So when you say be here, you mean like operating?
Yes, you will have commercial 6G around 2030. I don't think that the Gs now, we've learned the whole world to talk about Gs.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of funny.
The Gs.
But I don't think the next G is not going to be to get more notifications.
No.
You're not here to download a Netflix movie faster. It's already fast enough.
Oh, that's what I mean, really.
What it's here for is AI.
Okay.
So when the latency, which is a technical term, but how long it, you know, when you called a couple of years ago, it took a second or so for the call to connect.
You mean the small delay?
The small delay.
Yeah.
And when you try to surf a web page, you have a small delay. If you're talking using glasses that sees the world, instead of looking at your Google Maps or Alphabet Maps or whatever map it is, you don't want that latency.
No.
If your car is driving, you don't want to be, you know, a second too late because of a latency.
No.
So that's the most important part that comes with it. The difference also being
that it sort of increases the response rather than the notification.
It will be faster than the human brain. It will be down to milliseconds, which means that if you use glasses and look at the world from left to right,
you mean those digital glasses?
Digital glasses. Yeah. You won't notice, you know, because in the old versions you became a bit seasick because your your brain was faster. Yeah. Now this is going to be equally fast. And there's, you know, plenty of stuff you can do with that. The difference is when you use glasses like that, you want to upload a lot of information.
Yeah.
Today you're downloading. You're downloading a web page, a movie, a podcast.
Yeah.
Here we're changing. So also a big difference is on the uplink instead of the only downlink. So that's also a difference in 6G. And 6G can also do sensing in different ways. A lot to get into on the future.
No, but I'd love to talk about it. I'm not rolling my eyes. It's not that, but it's just that before we started this recording, we joked a little bit about age and things like that. And I'm not feeling old at all.
You shouldn't. You're my age.
Exactly. I'm having the time of my life, but I also feel that it's with all these new things that are served to us. It's like we're eating it up without asking questions anymore. We just, that's a new thing, so I want that. AI is coming, I want that. We got a new car, I want that. This battery is better, I want that. Without ever saying, it's like the consumption part of technology is never satisfied in us. We always want the new technology thing. And you should think that we're sort of saturated, but we're not. We just want it more and more.
I actually think that there's a lot of stuff you can do with technology that we don't ask for, and then that's a failed technology company. You won't sell it if it's not asked for.
Yeah.
We're in the business again of the basic human need of communication. You can do that in many different ways. I think the realization that you could watch a video when you're commuting on or when you can stay, you know, that had a need. Also a big difference now. 5G, 6G is the society at large. We're talking corporates. As a consumer, I think we've reached pretty far.
Yeah.
You have your apps and you're happy.
And it goes pretty fast also.
And
when
goes
I got
fast.
5G, it goes pretty fast.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What you need, if you think of a factory that has a lot of different robotics in it, lots of different cords in that factory. You don't need the cords. If you have any immediate response time, you can actually do circuit boards or whatever, you know, really nitty-gritty, difficult production without having factories that have miles and miles and miles of cords in it. You have
that's
everything
interesting.
digital.
You can have your own sort of mobile net within the factory.
Exactly.
I'm just repeating what you said now, but I'm just trying.
Well,
I'm
probably
repeating
in a better way.
I know I'm repeating it to understand it.
So there's a lot to do.
That's a thing as a consumer. You don't really think about that.
Exactly. So there's still lots to do in the corporate world, in the public world, and how we both interact with the public sector and so on. There's still a lot to be done. That demands the lower latency.
Yeah.
That really needs it to be trusted, to be super fast and not have a glitch. And that's where we are and where we're moving into.
Can we trust the communication network as a consumer? Is it safe for us to be out there?
I would be foolish if I said anything but yes on that.
Yeah, of course. But I mean, on an objective thing, I mean, is it really trustworthy?
It's a very important part, trust today. That's why the geopolitical situation for Ericsson, as I said, we're all over the world. We are seen as one of very few trusted vendors that can deliver trusted connectivity. That's why That's why the US is such an important market to us today. It's our biggest market by far. It's with a high profitability. We're in all the 50 states. We have a market share of 60% or something. All the three major operators here are our customers, of course, of Ericsson. So hugely important market. Also because the US is a front runner market. They want to lead the development, especially on the top tech tier, so to say. And that's very important for us because we need to be at that cutting edge. We spend $5 billion every year in R&D in order to develop these networks and always have the best networks.
That is quite impressive, especially from this point of view that I'm doing here. It's just that all over this place, there's a tiny little Ericsson Swede making his mark on the communications in a way that would...
I think I started in the US 1990. The only company that, or one of very few companies that my friends knew about already back then was Ericsson. And that's pre-mobile phones, by the way. And if you look today, wherever you go, we're 7,000 employees in the country. Could be more. We're 90,000 in total. But we have a factory here. We've had tremendous success together with our customers. So wherever you go, people would know Ericsson, probably by the phones or something else. But we also have an influx of Swedes coming here, like myself. I spend now 1 year in DC, but we have a lot of exchange between people, Americans coming to Stockholm or any of our other research sites, etc. We're spread over the country. We're represented in many different states with employees. So Ericsson is absolutely putting its mark on, and importantly, there's no American competitor to us. He said with a smile.
That's pretty brilliant. In a way, I understand, of course, that you need all the technology for all of this to work. I understand that. I'm not all left behind för the farstun, som man säger in Sweden. But you never really think of who's doing it. It's like the paperclip. You never think about who's actually doing this, because I'm using it.
When you're driving your Volvo here, you also need a road.
Yeah.
And you're not constantly thinking about who builds that road or when it was built.
Unless it doesn't work.
If the road is blocked or if it's potholes everywhere, you'll be furious.
Who's in charge of all this?
Who's in charge of that? And we're actually laying the digital motorways of the globe. And they should work. That's what you expect. And then you don't think about it. If it doesn't work, you become furious.
Peter Borsos.
Yes.
Who's that?
Peter Borsos is, who am I? I'm 57-year-old and I spent 1 year in DC with Ericsson as Global Head of Communications. My dad is born in Hungary, but is an Austrian citizen. My mom is from Sweden.
That's the name, Borsos.
Borsos is an Hungarian.
Oh, yeah.
I think it means strong pepper or something like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I hope it does. It sounds cool.
That sounds cool. But you see the map here on in front of you. So we're here in Washington, D.C. That's right there.
Mm-hmm.
And you're from Sweden, obviously. Where in Sweden are you from originally?
Born in Stockholm, but raised in Västerås.
Raised in Västerås. But you lived on several parts of the world and several parts in in America?
I've lived in Boston and in DC. I lived a year in Spain and then Stockholm. I also spent a year in Berlin studying.
All right. Where is home?
Home is very much our house in Stockholm still.
Okay.
Yeah. That is definitely home.
So if I just take a line out of Stockholm into the blue here, could you write your signature?
Absolutely. Your computer is a bit in the way.
So if you were to write a letter from Washington, D.C., where you're living now, to home, what would that be, that letter?
That's a good question. I would probably, with the situation as it is now, I would probably write, I'm here in DC and the sun goes up every morning. Life is pretty regular as long as I don't turn on the news. But that's a point in itself. Don't always turn on the news. The US has played an incredible importance for Sweden, and it will continue to do that. So bear with the US and Sweden relationships, because the United States is not going away.
Okay. Like a bit of hope for the future, is that what you're implying?
Absolutely, and I feel we have very high tensions around all of the politics that happens, especially both from Europe and the US.
Yeah.
And to me, it's kind of interesting to see that people are protesting and people are discussing politics and people are going to lunch as they usually do over here. Sometimes I think we up the game a bit too much. You know, it's this too shall pass. As
I was celebrating you before with the Ericsson and the communication and the progress that you're doing, but I think also that it's you need to look at the other side of that coin. I'm not pointing finger. It's about the user and the producer in a way. We're living in a very high speed society, which means that we're sort of satisfied with the headlines, because we don't feel that we have time to learn anything deeper, so we read the headlines, which has changed the way we consume news, like you were talking about. Don't read the news. I don't think so many people actually read the news anymore. We see the headlines and then we move on. But the headlines are there to catch your attention, so take more time about the news and to learn more about what's actually going on, and to see a little bit further than just today, because I think the speed of it all has changed the way we're communicating. It's like everything has. All at once in a way.
It definitely has.
And that's going to be great with 6G. It's just going to...
6G is not going to fix that. I'm sorry to say.
But I agree with that. You can't blame technology if the producer and the user don't use it correctly. There's a game in between them that needs to be sorted out before.
Exactly. That's where regulations come in. Yeah. More politicians to think about that.
Yeah, you probably need a third party to regulate that. Yeah.
And we have a discussion in many countries on where social media should be allowed, if there's an age limit or not.
Oh, yeah.
That discussion is now in Sweden. They have it here. Different countries have done different things.
Didn't Australia do something?
Australia did something.
There's an age restriction on social media.
I think it is. I don't know exactly what it is, but
that's an interesting step to take. Let's see how that works.
It is, absolutely. But it's there to kind of, the whole discussion is there to kind of slow things down a bit.
Yeah.
Because you and I are part of the generation that does turn on the news.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people who never look at news and also only get what's on their social media. And that could also be problematic to some extent.
But I mentioned it briefly before. I think that we're overloaded and there's so much information going on, and that's just how it is. But I would say that the consumer's responsibility on that, and that isn't so much as we might think, because there are evidence that shows that it's not so easy. But still, just because it's out there doesn't mean you have to eat it.
No, exactly.
Just because there's pie on the table doesn't mean you have to eat it all. So,
that's very true.
Yeah, and I think that's if there's any responsibility to the consumer, I think that might be it.
Yeah.
Because then you have, but that is a completely different discussion. It's a completely different interview. But you have these algorithms, you have all of that, the system that is sort of forcing you in a way into that tunnel that you think you're making your. This is going to be weird, but it's going to think you're making the decision, but it's really served to you.
I don't think there's a technology or infrastructure that is not to some extent creating something that was not expected.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean we shouldn't create the technology or the infrastructure for it. I mean, whoever robs a bank is going to drive on the street.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean we should have the street.
No, that's a good thing, actually. That's actually quite good. And I also like to say, I don't know if I'm going to keep this, but I need to say, we're kind of scared of regulations because in the beginning of internet, it was growing because there were no regulations, and the sort of original internet guys and girls was just free speech. It has to be unregulated, but it turned out that wasn't a good idea because it needs regulations. You need like age restrictions for certain sites. You need something, and that maybe that should be more on a global scale than on a national scale.
And that's where the problem comes in.
Yeah.
Because regulating on a global scale, who does that? There's no public official to do that.
There needs another planet to regulate us.
Yeah, perhaps. And we haven't found that planet yet. But Europe today regulates first, and the US does not. And many other parts of the world, especially in Asia, does not regulate first. That means development happens there. So Europe needs to understand how the rest of the globe works. Yeah. Otherwise, we'll continue to fall behind.
Oh yeah.
Sweden has been fantastic here with the computer reform of the 1990s, etc., where we let stuff happen, which still reflects, I think, on the number of startups and fantastic companies coming out of Sweden and conquering the US also.
Yeah. But I agree with you. You have to have it open. Otherwise, you would just put like a lid on it.
Yeah.
And that doesn't work either. Because if you put a lid on something...
it'll explode eventually.
Yeah, but someone will always find a way around that.
Yeah.
And that's never good. It's better to be transparent in a way. Should we leave on that?
We can do that.
It's better to be transparent.
It's always better to be transparent.
But it is, yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you, Peter. It was really lovely to have you here.
Thank you. It was awesome to be here. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And sorry for the heat.
That I don't blame you for.
Thank you.
You have listened to Letters from America, a weekly road trip podcast celebrating the Swedish heritage in the United States. Produced in collaboration with the Embassy of Sweden in Washington, D.C., Volvo Cars USA, Volvo Trucks USA, and Airstream.